The game never stops, and neither do we. Welcome to the SDH Network. We're always around the corner from everywhere. Good morning, Jason Longshore. It's time for another edition of the Morning Espresso, brought to you by Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. Happy Friday. We've got a huge slate of stories across the global game to get you ready for the weekend. NWSL, it could define the next era of the league. Liverpool, Arne Slot, Mo Salah, what's next? Tigres, they take the first leg in the advantage in the Liga MX final. Plenty more. We've got updates out of Vancouver, out of Miami, out of Manchester. Let's jump in. We're going to start with the NWSL and a new potential salary cap change. The league's Board of Governors has approved a brand new roster mechanism. It's internally referred to as the High Impact Player designation. So kind of like a designated player, but not the same. If it's implemented after consulting with the NWSL Players Association, it will allow teams to spend up to $1 million above the salary cap to retain or recruit top-tier talent. So it's basically a hybrid between a designated player and maybe targeted allocation money. If we're comparing it to MLS, it's a fund that you can use to go above your cap. Okay. It's been building for months. They've been trying to figure out how to do this for months because your salary cap as it's currently structured, you've outgrown it. You need to be more ambitious, more aggressive, and figure out ways to retain talent. This is only increased in urgency with Trinity Rodman's situation in Washington. Her contract is up at the end of the calendar year. Spirit tried to sign her to a new deal, getting creative. That contract was blocked, voided by the league. Now that's in arbitration with the NWSLPA. The broader question is just, can the league keep top players in the league, and can it recruit top players from other leagues? Can they spend enough? And that's the backdrop to all of this. And it's an interesting time with Denver, with Boston, with Atlanta coming into the league. It's growing. I think that ambition has to grow as well. The high impact player designation is designed to help teams do this. The way you get designated as a high impact player is very interesting. There's sporting benchmarks like Ballon d'Or rankings, women's national team minutes, recent best 11 recognitions within NWSL. They're also trying to incorporate commercial metrics. European clubs have used this in valuing their stars over the years. I'm not really all that sold on the designation of being a high impact player. I'm more sold on the salary cap and roster rule making to allow you to spend more money, basically, is what it comes down to. The NWSL has to spend more to maintain its place as the best league in the world. I think it still is. The Women's Super League is going to fight that, but I think it's a little top heavy. I think top to bottom, the NWSL is the best league. But that's not going to continue if you don't spend more money, because you're seeing top clubs around the world spend more money. And the money is being made as well. That's the other thing, is this isn't just spending money to spend it for trophies. This is business. If you have Trinity Rodman in your team, for example, you're going to sell a whole lot more jerseys. You're going to sell more tickets. You have a phenomenon in your team. And that's the other part of it. I've talked about her injury history, which has to be a concern in this conversation as well, and specifically signing Trinity. But the commercial ramifications are massive if you sign her. So under the current salary cap system, paying a single player seven figures essentially destroys your roster balance. There's no way you can be competitive that way. This rule would change that. A portion of the salary would count against the cap. The rest would be covered by this additional $1 million bucket of high-impact player money. The NWSLPA has to agree here, and we'll see how they respond. That's really one of the next big steps in this. And is this going to be enough to keep Trinity Rodman? it sounds like she wants to stay if she agreed to a contract with the Washington Spirit that was voided. I would assume that she knew that was a possibility when she signed that. So I don't think she's angry and will say, oh, well, I'm not staying now. But now can the Washington Spirit, if this rule gets done and it has to get done quickly, can they keep her? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I would assume so. And that's a big move for the league. I think it's a big statement if they do, because after losing Naomi Girma, after losing Alyssa Thompson, I think there's a perception about where the NWSL is and where it's going that might not be fully accurate. It's just perception. Keeping Rodman would be a big move the other way for perception's sake. And then hopefully her injury history is able to not come back and hurt you in this decision. Let's go to Liverpool. Arne Slot and Mo Salah are expected to meet today, a meeting that could determine Salah's immediate future with the club. It's been a crazy week. You know, he had the mixed zone meltdown and said he'd been thrown under the bus. Then he was left out of the trip to Milan in Champions League against Inter, and the club won that game. He's headed to Egypt for AFCON after this weekend's match. He's hinted at leaving in January. He wanted to say goodbye to the fans this weekend. Arne Slot's handled this really, really well. He's been measured in everything that he said. He insists that he still wants Salah at Liverpool. He said that today's conversation will dictate whether Salah returns to the squad against Brighton this weekend. And he said he won't talk about it until he's spoken directly with the player. Liverpool got a big win over the weekend in Champions League. They have been struggling in Premier League. They need to get some results, and now they're dealing with this tension that's off the field. Hopefully the meeting can relieve that and at least push things off until after the African Cup of Nations. We'll find out. Let's go to Mexico. Monterrey, to be exact. Tigres, a big win in the first match of the two-leg series in the Liga MX final, 1-0 over Toluca. Ángel Correa, the longtime Atleti winger, Argentine national team winger, he scored 46 seconds into the second half to give Tigres that lead, and they were able to make it hold up. 15th goal since arriving in Mexico over the summer. Perfect cross from Diego Lainez to find Correa. Nahuel Guzman, one of the best goalkeepers in Liga MX. He was steady. He gets the clean sheet. Center backs locked in. Tigres were in control for much of the night. Now, they've got to go to Toluca for the second leg at the Nemesio 10, the second La Bombonera. It's going to be on Sunday evening. Tigres, 90 minutes away from their 9th league title, their 7th since 2011. Toluca, they're in double digits in titles, and they are looking for one here. It sets up for a really interesting second 90 minutes. We are potentially going to have a little bit of a impromptu watch along over at the Brewhouse Cafe if you're in the neighborhood on Sunday night. Make sure you're following us on social media, and we'll keep you up to date on that. Trying to get you some around the corner lager deals for that night if you want to come watch Liga MX over at the Brewhouse. Stay tuned. Make sure you're following us at Soccer Down here. And make sure you go see the Brewhouse this weekend, even if it's not for that game, and have an around the corner lager powered by our friends at No Foe Brewing. All right, let's go to Vancouver. Looks like the Vancouver Whitecaps are going to be okay in staying in the market, although there are some next steps that need to get done. The club has reached a memorandum of understanding with the city of Vancouver to explore a brand new stadium and entertainment district at Hastings Racecourse Park. It's a major step towards controlling their own venue, something that MLS Commissioner Don Garber has repeatedly said is essential. He's called the current situation at BC Place untenable, and it looks like the club is taking their next steps towards a long-term solution. Now, the project isn't approved yet. The direction is good. Vancouver wants a home of their own. BC Place will potentially still have to be a stopgap over the next few years while this gets done, but this has got to get finished, and this would be huge for the Vancouver Whitecaps and to keep the team in the city. Let's go to the other corner of Major League Soccer. We'll go to Miami, who beat Vancouver in the final last weekend. They are building towards their MLS Cup defense, And they announced their roster moves yesterday. Ian Frey signing a new deal through 2029. Miami declined options on Fafa Pico and William Yarbrough. They are continuing talks with Luis Suarez, who is linked with a move back to Uruguay and Nacional. There are several loanees, including Tadeo Ascende and Rocco Rios Novo, that are under consideration to come back, just negotiations with their parent clubs. And on top of that, the club will be headed to South America for a preseason tour. They're going to start in Colombia with Atlético Nacional on January 31st. And then, as we told you yesterday in the Morning Espresso, they'll head to Guayaquil in Ecuador to play Barcelona SC on February 7th. When you have Lionel Messi and Rodrigo de Paul, even though you are losing Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba, when you have Lionel Messi and De Paul, you are able to take trips like this, and that's a really interesting start to getting ready for 2026. That trip to South America, that'll get them primed and ready for CONCACAF play and for the start of the MLS season. Let's go back to England. It's ugly at Wolverhampton right now. 2 points from 15 matches, no wins, a trajectory that points towards the lowest points total in Premier League history. You got fan protests, you got managerial changes, you got major player departures that have left the squad depleted over the last couple of years. Rob Edwards is in trying to stabilize things, but they travel to Arsenal this weekend, the league leaders. Not the ideal setting for a turnaround. It's not just a bad season, it is a historically bad season right now for Wolves. It's a good season on the pitch for Manchester United. It is a bad time off the pitch at the moment. Their net debt has now surpassed $1 billion, the highest since the Glazer takeover. Between borrowings and ongoing dividend payouts, questions continue about how much financial flexibility actually exists for this team right now. Ineos has streamlined operations and cut costs, but sponsorship revenue is down. European revenue is missing at the moment. They did turn a small operating profit, but that doesn't solve the larger structural concerns. They're going to have to turn much larger profits to start paying down this debt. It's going to catch up to you at some point, right? I mean, it has to, I would assume. I think a lot of clubs operate with some level of debt, usually clubs that have finished a stadium project, not are starting one, like Manchester United say that they are. It's going to be a problem, and I think it has affected them in the transfer market, and it's going to continue to. Now, they're getting it done on the field right now. Ruben Amorim is doing well. The team is playing well, but as we said coming into the season, I think they still need more talent to really compete at the top end of the Premier League table, and I don't know if they have the money to go get it. Let's go to Madrid. This could be a new challenge for Xabi Alonso. The loss to Manchester City in the midweek did not see him let go. But now, according to reporting in Spain at AS in Madrid, he faces a new requirement. He has to win all three of his next matches. They are at Alaves over the weekend. They play Talavera, a lower division club in the Copa del Rey. And then they play Sevilla next weekend. And according to AS, if he doesn't win all three, he's out. They continue to miss key players across the back line. They're dealing with suspensions in this match at Alaves. Their domestic form has been shaky. It looks like they'll get Dean Huijsen back this weekend, but he might be the only one who's back this weekend. It's complicated, and it just seems like you're trying to set him up to let him go. And in my opinion, as I've said, that will hurt them in the long run more than it will give them any kind of a short-term boost. Let's go to Argentina. Their final is on Saturday night in Santiago. Racing playing Estudiantes. Racing would be your favorite. They're the higher seed. This is for the Clausura title. Two clubs know one another very, very well. They have played 218 times in history. But you've got storylines all over this. Recent form, historical matchups, key players returning for both sides. Santiago Sosa, who we mentioned yesterday, is in the crosshairs of Flamengo and Brazil. He is back from suspension for this one. Can't miss showdown to close out the Argentine season. It will be at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. You can watch on Fanatis. And if you have not subscribed to Fanatis as of yet, go to fntz.co/soccer down here, and that will get you a subscription, but also help out SDH. Fanatis, great friends of Soccer Down here, and it is a great service that has now added the Danish League. I found out over the weekend. I believe it is the Danish League via Chilean television, but I've not seen the Danish League on U.S. television before, and now it is available in Spanish on Fanatis. They keep adding things all the time. It's amazing. Let's go to college soccer. The Men's College Cup semifinals kick off tonight in Cary, North Carolina. Washington against Furman at 6 o'clock, followed by St. Louis and NC State at 8:30. A lot of big-time players from MLS academies in this one, including a couple from Atlanta United's academy with Furman, Braden Dunham, who you heard on the morning show yesterday with John Nelson, and Luke Hutzel. Both have been key contributors for the Paladins in their run to the semifinals. Rooting for Furman. Sorry, NC State. You're the other Southern team here, but you got kind of home field advantage. You're going to be okay. Hopefully a Furman NC State final, and the Paladins can take it. If you haven't seen Braden Dunham's goal from almost midfield in the last round in the quarterfinals, go check that one out on social media. Just amazing. Refill time. Quick hits from around the world. Champions League. You've got new projections at Opta that have Arsenal as the statistical favorites to win the Champions League this year. Bayern, PSG, and City round out the top contenders. Chicharito leaves Chivas. He concludes his second stint with Guadalajara. Club calls him in their statement one of the greatest figures in Mexican football. Both sides prepare for what's next. Fortaleza in Brazil, they were relegated even after the exploits of Martin Palermo after he came in as manager. He won 8 games, got them back into a good spot until the last day where they struggled and ended up getting relegated. Nantes, they have fired Luis Castro after 15 matches, brutal run of form. They are bringing in Ahmed Kantari as their interim manager. Castro had success in the lower divisions, but could not replicate that with Nantes. Renato Paiva with Universidad de Chile is looking like it's going to happen. Talks are advanced, long-term deal close. He was one of the managers who struggled at Fortaleza. They were already in a bad way. Paiva took over in the summer, couldn't fix it, left after a short period of time. He was at Botafogo from February through the Club World Cup and had a good run at the Club World Cup and had a good run with Botafogo in the first half of the season, and inexplicably was let go and shocked everybody. So now he could be heading to Universidad de Chile. Another surprise on the managerial front, Ariel Holan, he leaves Rosario Central. Had a great season. They were overall the best team with winning the newly made trophy in the middle of the year. They had the best overall record, equivalent like Supporters Shield, of the Apertura and the Clausura. Holan departs the club by mutual agreement. Surprised everybody in Rosario. And then crazy, a fire at FC Haka in Finland. Police confirmed that Sunday's stadium fire was intentional. All the suspects are under the age of 15. FC Haka, one of the powerhouses in Finland, was relegated. And after the game, these kids lit a fire that ended up burning down half of the stadium, affecting the pitch as well. And now the club is beginning its rebuilding campaign, literally and figuratively. That's it for Friday's Morning Espresso. Big weekend ahead. Liga MX, second leg of their final on Sunday night. The Argentine final on Saturday night. Premier League, College Cup tonight. We'll have all the reaction for you on Monday morning with the Espresso and with SDH AM. Enjoy the matches, enjoy your day, and as always, thank you for being part of the SDH Network. And big thank you to our supporting sponsor for the Morning Espresso, Oglethorpe University.